Alright, so it's Saturday afternoon and I'm currently on the way to the Barbican to go and see the Vulgar. A good few hours in there, and the exhibition was really good. It's a shame that I've only seen it now a few days before it's about to close, but it was an amazing experience. So I literally came in here just before the flight and leaving, and it's really cold and it's pretty much pitch black. Well, not pitch black. I was like, I should be out for sort of early evening. I'm ready to go home now. I'm not even ready to go home, I'm on the way home now. So I'm walking up to MOORGATE station to go and catch the train. I spent pretty much the entire exhibition writing things down. There was a lot to take away from it. That's my leaky eye. Never this wind, my eye's always leaking. But yeah, I left the exhibition feeling really educated. There was a lot to write down and it made me think a lot about my own career and I suppose curatorial practice and how you build together a lot of really great information to leave people feeling, really well informed about the subject matter, I suppose. It was a lot of talking about really what we perceive to be vulgar and how that can vary so much. It got me thinking because of course all of these things are, personal taste. It's all about preference. Honestly, can't believe that it's closing on the 5th of February and I've only really just sort of gotten around to seeing it now, but hey, better late than never, right? So I'll speak to you guys in a little bit. I'm also really annoyed because I'm walking a really long way to get to the station because I missed my turning. But I'm not really mad. I got to share my experiences. It's freezing. Okay, it's not that cold. But the big question is, what am I actually going to eat? What am I going to eat? Kind of feeling like pizza or spring rolls. Maybe. I think maybe a pizza situation. Yeah. Can you believe that all this time later I'm still walking to the station, which is absolutely ridiculous. Do you know, was spring, where it was summer. I just want my evenings, I want it to be bright and sunny when it's 10 o'clock at night. I'm kind of over this. Not even kind of, I am full stop. So guys, as you can see, I'm back home and I'm dressed differently because yeah, it is a different day. All that cold that I was complaining about while on the way home, it caught up with me. To answer, yes, I did get my pizza dinner and I did get my spring rolls as well. Cheeky, I know, but Saturday, so I would say we're allowed. Yeah, the cold situation just sort of took over me and I'm sort of slowly nursing that and getting over that. I feel like my ear infection, which I had about a year ago, is starting to return because I've got a niggling feeling in my ear, but that's by the way. So I think I must have spent about 3 hours or so in the exhibition, and you know, there were 20 different themes to explore, and the exhibition text that, you know, when you got to each different theme, it was based on writings by Adam Phillips. And as I was reading through that text, I was like, yes, I was literally living for all of the text that was on the wall. I had my little moleskin book and I was literally writing down everything. I wrote it down because I respected the situation. They asked for no photography, no videos, so I wasn't cheeky about it. I did it old school. I wrote everything down, and I think what prompted me to write it down was the fact that I was like, you literally have 20 different ways to look at what it is to be vulgar. And it was a really nice conversation that was happening within that text, because I think at first when I looked at it I was like, okay, this is a really compelling argument, and then I was like, do you know what, actually it's not so much of an argument, it's kind of just food for thought. It's there for you to think about it, and that was really nice because it wasn't trying to convince you of one or the other. It was, for me, about letting that person or the audience member make up their mind as to what they deem to be vulgar. I think for me, one of the most interesting things that came out of that exhibition was the fact that there's this constant chasing. So it's what is considered to be fashionable is what people aspire to have and what people aspire to sort of to emulate. But once that thing is emulated by the masses, that thing then becomes vulgar. So it's this constant cycle. It's kind of one is trying to get away from the other while the other one is trying to follow up after it. And so this is one of my favourite things to do. So whenever I go to an exhibition, I always like to buy a little souvenir. This is a pin from the Vulgar and I think it's absolutely dope. So it's now got its permanent position on my jacket. So if you see me about, you know what the deal is. So I think one of my favourite parts of the exhibition was, it was called notvogue.com, and it was a small piece of video, and it was sort of looking at analytics of fashion houses and, you know, so-called celebs or people who are, you know, part of popular culture. And what it showed was that a lot of these fashion houses had less following on social media sites than people, for example, such as Kim Kardashian, Kendall Jenner, and I thought that was really interesting, especially looking at the wider context of the exhibition, which is what is considered to be vulgar. And, you know, for example, if you want to look at the Kardashians, everyone talks about reality TV stars being famous for doing nothing, and so it was that interesting flip of, in that sense of reality TV stars being maybe seen as being vulgar, what is vulgar is now setting trends. Fashion houses are sort of running after them to dress them because they are free marketing, free PR, whatever you want to call it. So it's how the two, the fashionable, the height of fashion, and the vulgar merch. So I thought that was a really interesting link. Literally had to draw from my Moleskine book because I kind of just want to share some of the things that I wrote down about the exhibition, because, you know, some of it was, like I said, I had a lot to think about. I went away and I was just like, yeah, fashion. And I think what I was doing is I was making a lot of links. There was a lot of things for me to think about because I was walking around the exhibition and it was this whole idea of, you know, there are a lot of things that have been put out by, you know, people that are said to be tastemakers, you know, at the top of their fashion game, and sometimes it's trash. And I think that's just being honest. Some of the stuff that's put out by these fashion houses is trash. And in my opinion, if we're going to stick to the theme of the exhibition, I would call some of what they produce vulgar. There were a couple of pieces in the exhibition which were very, I don't know, so maybe I might call them questionable, but I was looking at them and I was like, really? Yeah, and these were things that were being put out by, again, companies like Gucci, Louis Vuitton, Christian Dior. And it's kind of raise your eyebrow type outfits. But then when I sat down and thought about it, I was like, do you know what? This reminded me of a documentary that I watched on Netflix. I think it was maybe towards the end of last year. I think it was called, I can't remember the name, but I'm gonna link it in the description. I think it was maybe called Fresh Laces. I'm not sure, but it was around sort of like the evolution of hip hop and fashion and style. And so immediately as I'm walking through this exhibition, a lot of the stuff is screaming out to me because I start remembering Dapper Dan from New York, who was mentioned in that documentary, and a lot of the things that he was creating. And so what he was doing at the time was, I suppose, in a way revolutionary and setting the path for sort of informing what a lot of fashion houses are doing now. He was taking a lot of offcuts from Gucci, Louis Vuitton, and he was creating pretty much what a lot of the stuff in that exhibition looked like. He was creating a lot of those things, and at the time when he did it, he said that he was doing it to create, you know, a sort of ready-to-wear look for his people, for his community. And again, it's that whole idea of fashion being cyclical, and, you know, who informs who, and is vulgarity just about copying? Because at the time, I'm sure a lot of those fashion houses were thinking, what the hell? Because I think he was even shut down because they were just like, we're not having this anymore. But I mean, it's really interesting to see how a lot of that has really informed, you know, some of the trends that we see or have seen on the runway in maybe the past 10-20 years or so. Overall, I'd say I really appreciated that exhibition. It's, again, such a shame that I only saw it a couple of days before it closed up, or more like a week before it closed up, because I can tell that would have been one of those exhibitions that I kind of would have wanted to just sort of drop in every day. I think whenever you go and see an exhibition, you need to go and see it more than one time. You know, like I said, I spent quite a few hours in there. I left feeling really inspired, and I think what the Barbican are doing is pretty amazing, and it has definitely left me feeling really, really thoughtful about what I want to do moving forward in terms of, again, how that relationship between curatorial and learning is really sort of solidified. And yeah, I think that was an excellent example of sort of how an exhibition can sort of be really educational, and sort of a lot of really great different themes brought together to tell a really coherent story. So yeah, feeling definitely feeling inspired. Anywho, I am going to sign out for now, and I'm gonna catch you guys next video. So peace.